obviously, Mr. Giuliani is playing this role. To your knowledge, does he have security clearance?
I don't know. Congressman Quigley, I'm neither aware or unaware whether or not Mr. Giuliani has a security clearance.
Before this all happened, were you aware of his role or understanding what his role was doing what you do?
Congressman Quigley, my only knowledge of what Mr. Giuliani does, I have to be honest with you, I get from TV and from the news media. I am not aware of what he does, in fact, for the president.
That should scare everybody. The nation's top, like the guy at the top of our country's intelligence agencies, has no idea if the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, running around the country, colluding here and there, if he has a security clearance or not. It's a claim matched in the whistleblower's complaint. Whistleblower writes this: starting in mid-May, I heard from multiple U.S. officials that they were deeply concerned about what they viewed as Mr. Giuliani's circumvention of national security decision-making processes to engage with Ukrainian officials and relay messages back and forth between Kiev and the president. The officials also told me that State Department officials, including Ambassadors Volker and Sondland, had spoken with Mr. Giuliani in an attempt to, quote, contain the damage to U.S. national security. Just a few hours ago, Giuliani spoke with NBC News and denied the whistleblower's account. We're going to skip all that, what Rudy said. You can probably find it somewhere else later tonight if you care. Here's the deal, though. This is Jason Johnson's here. We needed him. This is the breakdown. And to take it away from just the asinine, which is all things Rudy, to the national security threat, that nobody can, and this is like a who's on first.
Right.
Like who's doing our foreign policy bidding with Ukraine? You know, by the way, there's a military aid package in the wings, and Rudy's running around with the new, Clinton cash book trying to get the Ukrainians to investigate Joe Biden. Who's in charge of that? I don't know.
It is amazing to me how many people McGuire doesn't know what they're doing or doesn't know who they're a part of, or doesn't know who they're responsible for. He says in a hearing today that the president is not part of American intelligence, which amazes me, how the president is not part of American.
Might be a good
thing. Yeah, actually, he doesn't really reflect it a lot, even though he's commander-in-chief. He doesn't know where Rudy Giuliani is. And the problem is, to the degree that we have foreign policy being handled, not just by Giuliani, but also people like Jared Kushner, people with all sorts of questionable or non-existent security clearances going around. And we have to remember, they're not just doing Donald Trump's bidding. They're exchanging information, the likes of which we don't even know what all the information is that they're offering on behalf of the president to get things done. That is the danger here. What disturbed me most about this hearing is that McGuire is sitting there. He should be terrified. This is pants on fire, hair on fire kinds of situations, and instead he's sitting there sort of dancing back and forth with vocabulary. And that is the greatest danger out of all of this. Now, I also have to say this, as far as we were talking before about the changing poll numbers. I talked about this hearing this morning to a group of college kids who don't know much about it. This is the thing that finally breaks through. This is so simple that even a group of 19 and 20-year-olds who I talked to this morning understand it. Maybe Russia was complicated. Maybe emoluments are complicated. But this is the thing that goes through. Everybody understands deal-making. Everybody understands a scam and quid pro quo. That is why Democrats are finally moving on the Ukraine.
Well, and I think everyone, and I give 19-year-olds credit for having a longer attention span than
members of Congress.
Yeah. I was trying to put that more diplomatically, leave it to you to cut to the bone. But what is it about the story that breaks through for them?
I think what they were explaining, so it's funny, I was saying to them this morning, they're like, Dr. Johnson, this is so corrupt. It's obvious it's corrupt because they understand what it is to try and get somebody to get dirt on you. Mm-hmm. Kids understand drama. Yeah. Kids understand gossip. Kids understand an exchange. And when the president, it's just like what Michael Cohen said, when the president says, well, if you could really help me one way or another, and I think another part of this, it's not just what the president was asking for that people understood, but when I talked about the fact that the new Ukrainian president also mentioned, hey, and I stayed at one of your hotels. I mean, the whole thing was this sort of footsie flirting interplay that's like, I'm ready to play ball.
Is it even footsie, though? I mean, here's why I asked about what breaks through the 19-year-olds. I mean, what's broken through to world leaders, what's also been revealed in all this, is that they've got Trump's number. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll be really lucky if we sort of, at a global level, survive this without anything really bad happening. I mean, what's revealed here is that a country that really needs us, really needs our help, really needs our military aid, was, if they wanted to, they could have blackmailed Donald Trump. he'd asked them to investigate Joe Biden. And this was why Mike Flynn, why Sally Yates said that Mike Flynn had to go, because he could be a target for blackmail.
Right.
It was a four-alarm fire. She ran over and told Don McGahn, you got to get rid of this guy. The president's national security advisor could be blackmailed. The Ukrainians, a little country under great threat from Russia, they could have blackmailed Donald Trump if they wanted to.
Well, and you know that this is going on all over the world. I mean, that's why I want to see the other conversations that have been put into this code access secret server. If there have been other memos of conversations that have been put in there that don't have national security around them, because you know he is saying these things and doing these things with other people besides the president of Ukraine.
Right.
Now, in all of this, we're talking about Barr and we're talking about Rudy and we're talking about the players. You know, the one guy we haven't talked about too much today, and that's Bolton. Bolton was there on all this.
Yeah.
Bolton knows how wrong it was. Bolton was treated terribly on his way out the door. He was
Bolton also was an advocate for the military aid for Ukraine.
And against Putin. I mean, he was, you know, a big Iran hawk, but also a big, you know, don't trust Putin, quit trying to be friends with Putin. So it will be really interesting to see what Bolton will bring to this whole dilemma that the country faces right now. He could be a key person in history if he steps up and tells the truth about what he witnessed in the White House.
All right, well, when we come back, Nancy Pelosi on charges